Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of the Movie Crusaders Chat About. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. Today we've got it's been I think since Super Bowl, so it's been almost about a month. We've gotten some time to kind of do some other things. I've been working on Wrestling Crusaders with Jordan JPO Owens. We just dropped a new video for that, talking about AEW Revolution.
And this is always the slow time of year anyway, so it's
exactly,
like
I was about to
last
say.
year March is when it really kicked into gear, and so this year hopefully we'll do the same thing.
Yeah, we had a string of a couple weeks where there was stuff that came out, but just not stuff really worth talking about. This last week was Dune, first big movie of the year. This upcoming week we got Kung Fu Panda, we've got Damsel, we've got Imaginary. Week after that, I think we've got we also have Ricky Stenicki, which actually looks funny. That comes out this week as well. I can't remember what comes out next week, but the week after that, we got Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. So we are now getting into the thick of it with the movie. So you're going to see a lot more of us now. We kind of took this almost 2-month break because we shot stuff. You know, the Oscars is this Sunday, so we shot our Oscar show already. So if you guys haven't checked that out, and you guys want to see who Brian and I think will and should win at the Oscars, as well as our actual awards for who should win the Oscars, which is really what's the most important thing. Check out that video because there's some really good picks there, especially in the actors categories. But today we're gonna kind of go over some stuff that some new trailers, some news that's popped up recently. I got a couple reviews of movies that I watched but didn't shoot single reviews for. But the main story, spoiler review for Dune Part 2. We're going to get to that at the end. I'm really excited to see how this conversation is going to go, and I'll explain that when we get to it. But yeah, Brian, how's it been going for you with your little break from the show?
It's been going good. I think it's only been 1 month because Super Bowl was what, first week of February, I think.
It was literally a month from.
It was only a 1-month hiatus. But yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of, this is usually the slow kind of time for movies. This year's no different. I mean, there has been some things come out, and we'll talk about what we did see. But you know, like I said, once we hit March and April last year is when things really kicked up, and this year looks to be doing the same thing. There's a good list of stuff coming out.
Last time we spoke, we were talking about Jurassic World. That one of our directors that we were really, really excited about was blanking.
David Leitch.
Thank you, David Leitch. Was going to direct it, and we're like, oh, okay. But then within 3 days, pulled out, and so we had.
At least it was before we filmed.
Yes, so we had a big conversation about that. But since then, Gareth Edwards, Star Wars Rogue One, Star Wars Story. He also did the Godzilla 2024, and didn't he do the?
And the Creator.
I was like, didn't he do the Creator?
Which is what really gives me the most faith in this project. Yeah.
Yes. Are one of our Oscar nominees, the Creator, for Best Picture, yes. Even though I still haven't seen it. But he has now taken the helm of directing the new Jurassic World film. I don't hate the decision. I'm wondering if that's one thing that I've always liked about, especially now, I think what you said about the Creator. I am actually really intrigued to see what he's going to do with it, because he always has this kind of darker, gritty kind of tone. We saw that with Godzilla 2020 or 2014. A lot of people didn't like that one. I actually really did. A lot of people didn't like that there was not enough Godzilla in it. I thought there was the right amount. Like you said, Creator was probably one of your favorite sci-fi films of last year, the way it was shot and everything like that. And of course, Rogue One is still argued as one of the better Star Wars films out there. So with that darker, gritty tone, I am actually real intrigued to see if he's going to stay in that lane or if he's going to popcorn flick the shit out of this.
I honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, I never really thought about it. Well, I mean, I didn't know they were making another Jurassic World movie. And then once they did, you know, and David Leitch dropped off, I didn't really think of him as a director for it. But as soon as they announced him, I think he's kind of perfect for it, because obviously he can do, you know, these sci-fi, you know, projects that involve a lot of special effects, things like that. He's done the monster movie kind of thing with the Godzilla, and his first movie, which I think was just called Monsters, I believe. And then even with Rogue One and the Creator, especially because, like you said, it's kind of a little bit darker, grittier. But if nothing else, it's more like a a grounded tone. It makes it feel like this real lived-in world. He's great at creating these worlds. When you do watch Creator, and that's your homework, watch The Creator.
When I have time.
Within the first 15 minutes, you feel like you're in this world he's created, and he does a great job of that. I think he's a perfect choice for it. I read that he was like, wanting to take like a year or two break before moving to his next thing until they said Jurassic Park, and he's like, okay, I'm in. My vacation's over. So I like that he has some enthusiasm for it.
Here's the weird thing now. I actually think I prefer him over David Leitch, and here's why. I love David Leitch.
I think they're very different movies.
It's exactly very different movies, because we love David Leitch because he's very action oriented. Everything looks good, but it's hand to hand. It's person to person, like kind of directing, and it's going to be person CGI dinosaur. It's not going to be OG Jurassic Park with the puppets and everything, or animatronics. So I was excited for Leitch, but I was like, now I'm thinking about I'm sure the action scenes were going to be good, but still he's going to have to heavily rely on the CG dinosaurs to look good, unless he's going to be, it's going to be human versus human and dinosaurs are just in the background, which I don't know if I'd like that. But with Gareth, we've seen what he can do with this. So I actually am a little more intrigued by this now. I was already here. I was already here with Leitch. I'm just more like here now with Edwards.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And you know how much I love David Leitch.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, it's a win-win situation. You got Gareth Edwards doing this movie that I think he's kind of perfect for. But then you have David Leitch is now freed up to do, because I even said when he was announced for it, I'm like, I like him directing this, but there's all these other projects he's talked about doing that he's going to have to push back now. It's like now he can move on to those. So I'm kind of happy with it.
Because what's going to happen, and this was going to happen to either one of them, is it comes out. Let's say it's great. We're hoping it's great. They're immediately going to be like, are you going to do the next one? Are you going to do the trilogy? What are you going to do? And then you're potentially locking up either one of them up for almost a decade. If you're not going to, unless they're doing the Nolan thing where he's like, I'm going to do Batman, I'm going to do something else, Batman, something else.
That was the exact example I was about to use of Christopher Nolan, because I think he did it smart. Like, if you want to keep doing this franchise, great, but do something else in between.
I got to have a breather in between.
As opposed to, let's say, James Cameron, who's pissed away the last 20 plus years of his career doing nothing but Avatar.
And it's going to probably be 30 plus once he's done with all of them. But yeah, this is definitely a different conversation than we had last episode, where we were like, I don't want another one. Like, leave it alone. You haven't had a good one since the first Jurassic World, which even then that some people liked and some people didn't like. And then after that, you have to go back to, at least for me, Lost World, but because I liked Lost World, or you go back to the OG. Now it's like, okay, hopefully the director stays put. We've got the director. Now we got to get cast. And they're saying it's going to be a retool. So I'm assuming that means none of the OGs, which I'm fine with that. We got kind of close-end stories with them in Dominion. So now it's just more like, are we going to get big name stars, or are we going to try to go with how Jurassic Park was, which I think was the biggest name. I think at that point was it who was the biggest name back then in '93? In
Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Goldblum, probably.
I was like, wasn't it Goldblum? Because it wasn't Sam Neill. It was Goldblum.
No, Sam Neill you'd recognize from a few things here and there, but I don't even know if he played the lead in anything besides there's a movie called Dead Calm with him and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I was like Goldblum was
the Omen,
the lead. And even then, Goldblum wasn't like up here star level. He was like the guy from The Fly and little things here and there. He was mid-tier. He was probably B level at that point, and then it elevated him to that point. So it's one of those things now with Jurassic World. Do we want to stay in that range and grow, or are you going to go with Chris Pratt and the big names there and try to go from there? I hope with Gareth, because of how we've seen him shoot with Godzilla, Rogue, and Creator, I want him to stay in this range. I think. I mean,
you never know what studio pressure is going to make him do.
Exactly.
But I think that if Gareth has any input, and I would think he does, that you'll see him do kind of like he did with the Creator and with Godzilla, where it's like he's not grabbing like the A-list stars. You're not going to put The Rock or somebody in it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be nobody. It's going to be like people like you've heard of. They're kind of up and comers, but this is kind of like help boost them up to the next level too.
You look at Rogue One. The biggest name in Rogue One was Forrest Whitaker, less than 10 minutes screen time. Godzilla was Bryan Cranston, and maybe Ken Watanabe. But both of them probably less than 10 minutes screen time. The Creator was John David Washington, but even then, and Ken Watanabe. But John David Washington is still at like that brink.
Yeah,
Like
he's there.
everyone
Same thing with Aaron
knows
Taylor
who he is.
Johnson from Godzilla, things like that. They're like at
Yeah.
that level where they're not like A-list, but they're
They're
people you
right
want to see in
there.
movies.
They just
Yeah.
need. They're like the Zac Efron thing. We was like Zac Efron. We just need that role to get into the next tier, and Iron Claw did that. And I feel like that's how he likes to cast, and I'm all for it. So, like I said,
Mhm.
with this announcement, damn it, did you just make me excited for Jurassic Park? Sons of bitches! This is what I thought I was out. You pulled me back in.
Of course,
Kind of
to me, that brings me to the next question, though, is like, is that the new Ghostbusters? Because I don't know if it's coming out next year. They're still saying next year.
You and I are still in agreement. We don't want to see it next year. Give it till 26 at the earliest, maybe even 27. Let this thing breathe. Don't rush
Well,
this.
he said in a recent interview that it is supposed to go into production this year, and it's like, okay, I understand that special effects are at a point where it's not like, when the original Star Wars movies were made, they took 3 years between because it took that long to do the special effects, and now they can do things much quicker and they can be working on them as they go and things like that. So I understand post production can be shorter. I don't want it rushed, but it can be shorter than it used to be.
I would
But
feel better
even
if
then,
the script was
I
already
don't
written.
know. I assume they have a script, probably not a final script, but they still have to cast it. They still have to do everything. It's like I don't want it rushed. So it's like
Shooting will take probably about 3 months.
yeah.
Maybe another month if they have to do any, post shooting. Then you got to get into there and start working on this, the special effects and the CG and all that. And then, I mean, it can be done, but just because it can be done doesn't mean
Just because you do it, I mean, shit.
You love how I brought that right back to Jurassic Park.
I was about to say it. You stole it from me. But yeah, I kind of wish
you should.
Because I kind of think it's like, I mean, if they can do it and they can do it well, great. I hope the movie is great, even if it comes out next year. But I almost wish they'd take more of a James Gunn DC Superman approach, where it's like, okay, we're going to reboot this, but we know that our first movie out of the gate has got to be great. Because, okay, we're starting Jurassic Park over. We can start it off, with this rushed movie out and it can be crap, and then you've just blown any chance of the future. Or you can take your time, make sure that first one's great, because it's so important when you're rebooting something that the first one's good, or else people are just going to like say, never mind.
Don't look at it like, oh, it's Jurassic Park. People are going to come regardless whether it sucks or not. No, don't look at that in that mindset. Look at it as like, we need to bring in the magic that we brought in with Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, where we were breaking box office records. We need to go in with that mindset, not it's a Jurassic movie, people are going to show up. That's the same thing that's happening now with the Fast series, where it's now ending. It's like, oh, it's a Fast movie. People are going to show up and watch it. And that's the same mindset they had with Transformers to a point. It's like, people are stupid. They're just going to show up and watch it. Don't. Let's take some actual delicate care with this franchise. That's a very fragile franchise, in my opinion, at this point. Not as fragile as like Terminator, but it's like you've fucked up these last 2 films. Now, some people liked them. You liked the last one. But it's like, if you're going to redo this, fucking do it right. Do it right. Don't just rush this fucking thing out for a quick box office. You got plenty of movies you can do that with. Take the time and the care that you would with Jurassic Park, because the people who love the first movie and even Jurassic World deserve this movie to be taken care of properly. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Next, I heard this and I thought it was a joke, but you doubled down and said, "Oh, this." I was like, "Okay, I guess this is legit." Liam Neeson is going to be making a Naked Gun reboot. I don't know how to feel about this. At one point, it feels like, ooh, that's gonna be good, and then at the second part, I'm like, will it though? What are your thoughts?
Well, this is something that you heard rumors of months ago, and then it just became like official this past week. I kind of love it. The Naked Gun movies.
At least it's something different than what we've been getting from Liam Neeson for like the past decade and a half.
Exactly. It's because he's kind of driven that into the ground, and plus he's just getting old and he can't really do the kind of action anymore.
Yeah,
and they have to edit around him. But and occasionally they've been good. More often than not, in the last few years they've been awful. But once in a while he turns out a good one.
It's barely passable to I wasted my time.
But it's kind of like, I think it's perfect for Liam Neeson, because it kind of gives a chance to enter new phases of his career and kind of get out of this rut of these, really passable, disposable thrillers he's done. And at the same time, it's the Naked Gun series, and even go back to the original TV show, the Police Squad that it was based on. I think those were kind of, I mean, I haven't watched them in a long time, but they were pretty damn hilarious. I mean, this is back when, parodies and spoofs were good, and it wasn't just, name dropping movies like the, date movie, epic movie kind of stuff.
Back then, parody was an art.
Yeah.
It was looked at like, like, wow, you guys pulled that off flawlessly.
Because they were parodying a genre. They weren't like I said, trying to say, oh, this is a mock of this movie and then this movie. They weren't doing specific movie drops like that.
Yeah.
And so it kind of worked. And plus, just the way it was done was very well. And Leslie Nielsen was perfect for those roles. But Leslie Nielsen, before The Naked Gun, well, before Airplane, was a serious actor. You look back at his old stuff, it was all serious. He wasn't doing comedies at all. And then, but nowadays, that's all you remember him for is The Naked Gun, and then the comedies he's done since then. I mean, he showed up in other things like Scary Movie and things like that. But he was kind of like king of those parody movies. And I think Liam Neeson can do the same thing. He can kind of reinvent himself in a whole new phase of his career, and he can do comedy. I mean, I've seen him show up even just in bit parts in like Ted or things like that.
And the Lego Movie, he was hilarious in the Lego movie.
And Frank Drebin, I don't know if it'd be the same character, but the main character in the Naked Gun movies.
I'm looking at it
he's
as
supposed to be kind of the straight man. I mean, he does funny things, but he's essentially the straight man while things are going on around him. I mean, he does stupid things, but he's not like, purposely being silly and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think Liam Neeson is kind of perfect for that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it literally as like it's a full-on reboot. He's gonna play Frank Drebin, and I really go, who do we cast as OJ? Like, who's gonna be OJ? I got the perfect cast for that character. You're not gonna know who he is. For anyone who's a wrestling fan, you guys are gonna know. There's this big dude. His wrestling name is Big E. He is hilarious. He's a big motherfucker. I mean, he would destroy OJ. But
OJ wasn't even that big, but
no, but I mean, but he was a big football player. But I mean, this guy's a brick house, and the dude's just got charisma coming out of his butt. Like, he is a funny dude. He broke his neck last year. He has not come back to the ring because he's taking his time. But this guy needs to be on camera. This guy needs to start doing TV or something, because he is just this bright light of fresh air whenever he's on, and he is hilarious. And the first thing I was like, well, who are they gonna cast? And I was like going through, I was like, you don't cast an actual football player like OJ, because OJ was not a good actor. It's like, oh, watch him cast.
Maybe they just bring OJ back.
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
I bet he'd kill at that role.
And his white Bronco. But I was like, okay, they're gonna have to cast someone who's at least somewhat kind of athletic. I mean, don't cast like a Marshawn Lynch, which I heard he was good in Bottoms, but I didn't watch that. But it's like, I immediately just went to Big E, and I'm just like, dude, he would be great, because I could see him, I literally had a scene pop in my head where Neeson's like, they're right through that door, or they're right in that other room, and Big be like, oh, go, and he just runs through the wall, and you get the old school like shape.
Oh, the cutout, yeah.
Yes, and I'm just like, I can already see that in my head, and I'm already laughing because it's Big E doing it, and Neeson will just stick his head through the body thing, like, and then just walks through the door, and be like, oh, my bad. Like, I can already see the scene right there, and I love it. But yeah, I'm looking at it as like they are completely gonna go back and play those characters, which I'm fine with either way. Because
I'm really looking forward.
Was it 93? Was the last one?
Sounds about right.
I want to say it was 93, because then he started doing like Wrongfully Accused and Dracula Dead and Loving It, and he started to do kind of all parody stuff at that point.
Yeah, but a lot of them weren't very good. But
no, they weren't. But I want to say it was like 93-ish was probably when the last one was out.
Yeah, the Naked Guns were 88, 91, 94.
94. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was something that was just like, you heard it, you're like, that's a joke, and then it's like, oh shit, okay. Like you, I'm not mad at it, but I want to see more. Give me more of what we're about to get, because this is intriguing.
And what also gives me faith in it is the fact that it's being directed by Akiva Schaffer.
Mm-hmm.
From Lonely Island, who did, of course, Popstar and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, which we loved. So
yeah. So you're getting the right people in there. I think the only other people you could have gotten right now that would have maybe worked would be Lord and Miller, freaking Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, or blanking on Game Night. Francis.
Oh, John Francis Daly.
Yeah, John Francis Daly. Those are the only people that I would say, if you're gonna do this, get these group of people together and have them have at it and have fun with it. So I mean, as of right now, I'm liking where everything's going with it. Next, we'll tie this in because it's news, and it also kind of came out the same day as a new trailer. Bill Skarsgård had a very important day. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? It was in the last 10 days. Let's just say that. So Brian had a movie in his most anticipated.
For 2 years.
I think it was also, was it last year too?
For 2 years now, yeah.
For the last 2 years. A movie called Boy Kills World. With Bill Skarsgård and Jessica Roth, right? Jessica Roth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Intriguing premise. We finally got to see a trailer for it. But before we go into that, we also dropped the first pictures of The Crow, starring Bill Skarsgård. Now, I'm going to preface this. I never saw the Crow movies. They didn't seem like something I really cared about. I will watch at least the first Crow film before this comes out. I promise I will watch Crow before this comes out. But these pictures look bad. He looks like Jared Leto's Joker trying to change his lifestyle and be the Crow. These look like shit. And this is coming from someone who loves Bill Skarsgård. Now, you've seen Crow, so I'm going to rely on you to talk about this a little bit more. I'm just going off first look, me not being anything about this. I hated how this looked.
Yeah, I really love the original Crow. And I remember even before it came out, I was excited about the projects that Brandon Lee was kind of up and coming and stuff like that. And of course, his death happened, which kind of made this whole new level of anticipation for the movie came out. But the movie came out, and I really liked it. I thought it was very well done. Sequels happened, syndicated TV shows happened, all these things. I never watched any of them because I wasn't interested, and I just heard they were awful.
Is the first Crow movie really the only thing worth watching? Like,
it's the only thing worth watching.
For us?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they made a whole bunch of following stuff, which most people just kind of ignore they exist. Then they've been talking about a reboot for years, which was at one point supposed to star everybody from Jason Momoa to Tom Hiddleston to Eminem at one point. To there was a couple other people in there, and then they said Bill Skarsgård. We're like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll see how long it takes this one to disappear. Then I heard it was actually filming and wrapped, and now it actually has a release date. And I'm like, okay, this one's actually happening. Question is, will it be any good? Their first look photo, these aren't like set photos, they aren't leaked things. This is their official first photos they put out into the world to say this is our movie that's coming out.
Much like
that's the pictures they picked to be their first reveal of the world. Oof.
It was the same thing when they released the first photo of Leto as Joker, where he was like this, and you're like, no, fuck you, no. And I think that was almost kind of the same thing we got when these dropped. Was kind of
my thing is, I think this is a huge mistake because these pictures do look pretty darn awful, and especially after Boy Kills World, which I'll talk about more in a minute. But it's like I thought, I'm still not 100% convinced which way that'll go, but it still looks promising. But this one, like I said, these are the first photos they put out for people to judge the movie by, essentially, to get them excited, and they're really pretty darn awful. Now, maybe in the context of the movie, things will feel more right. It'll fit better. You'll have a better reception to it. But in that case, they should have just said, here's a trailer, and not release these photos out of context, which really do look pretty darn awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, and I'll watch the original Crow. And honestly, here's what I'm already expecting to happen: is I will watch Crow, and I'll be like, meh, because it's been built up to here. I felt that way the first time I saw Office Space. I feel differently about that now, though. But the first time I watched Office Space, it was built up to here, and I watched. I was like, it's okay. It's not that great. I don't know why everyone's freaks out about this movie, but then I watched it, with the mindset of that gone, and I was like, oh, okay, it's actually funny. I'm probably not going to be impressed by the first Crow movie. I'm not expecting to be impressed by this one at all. But we got to wait for a teaser or a trailer or something. We still don't know when that's going to happen.
I imagine it's got to be any day now because they moved The Crow up. Because actually, when Ballerina moved to next year, which got me mad enough to start with, The Crow moved into its slot, which I want to say was April.
If
Yeah, I don't know. I
we're
don't remember
less than a
exactly.
month, if we're less than a month and away, and we still haven't gotten anything yet, that doesn't bode well either. This is not like Spider-Man No Way Home, where we're glad we don't have a trailer yet. It's like, no, this is something you got to drop something.
Yeah, I'm sorry, June 7th. June 7th
Okay.
was coming out. So yeah, but I mean, by now they're actually. I'm looking at June, and we have trailers for almost everything in June except for Bad Boys, the new Bad Boys. Otherwise, we
Which
have.
just finished wrapping, so we could be seeing a trailer here in the next month.
Yeah, well, I would have thought they put out a trailer before now, even if they still had stuff to film, because they film until the last minute. But I imagine we'll see trailers for both Bad Boys and The Crow. I think within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
Now it's going on to Boy Kills World. You know what? This is yours. This was on your list for 2 years in a row. You talk.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's supposed to be like this, it's violence and it's fun and it's going to be, kind of over the top. And I think I love the casting of it. Bill Skarsgård, he looks super buffalo. He has like a weird shape to him, I gotta say.
Because he's lanky.
It's
His
something about
brother,
his neck and the way his muscles go. It just looks
his
weird.
brother is the same way until the Northman, and then he just
Yeah.
like even when he was Tarzan, it's like, yeah, you're shredded, but it looks off.
Yeah. But the trailer finally dropped for it, and it's like it's totally my vibe. It's totally that, over the top action with a sense of humor to it, definitely. The only thing that bothered me was this weird voiceover they use as narration, because apparently in the movie his character is mute. But and then so he's using this like inner monologue basically.
Voiced by Archer himself.
Yeah, it's this weird voice, and I'm like,
H.
this is just the weirdest choice, and I'm not sure I like it. It's kind of throwing me off from it. But as I remember I told you when it first came out, it's like they at least threw in that one line to explain why, because like he needed a voice for cinema monologue, so he chose it off of video games, I believe he said.
Yeah,
It
was off a video game. Yeah,
off video game, and so it's like, okay, now it makes sense. I'm still not sure it works. I mean, I'll see how it works in the movie, but at least it explains it. And so I am not any less excited to see it after the trailer. I don't know if I'm more excited because I was already kind of anticipating it. But this is one I think is going to be maybe a sleeper hit.
Yeah, this trailer was like what 2.5 minutes, and I went through so many waves of thought through this, because when you described this movie to me, I was like, okay, if it's something like Guns Akimbo, which everyone should watch if you guys have it, or Boss Level on Hulu, which is also, if it's something along those lines, I'm going to enjoy this movie. And so I go into the trailer, I'm like, all right, cool. I was like, this is the one that Brian's been talking about. And I'm watching him, and I'm hearing Archer or Bob from Bob's Burgers, people who know him from that. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just let Bill talk himself? And then he explains it, and I'm like, okay, still weird. I mean, I love Archer, so I'm not angry to hear his voice, but it just feels weird coming off the internal monologue of Skarsgård. But as the trailer kept going, I was liking more and more of it, because like there's that moment where like his buddy like kills the guy, and like he looks at him like, really, kind of thing. And I was like that works. I was like, if it's like that, it's gonna work. Now Jessica Roth, they didn't really showcase her much. She's in the trailer, but they don't really give her a good like face shot until like the very end. So I don't know how big her character is actually going to be in this movie.
I mean, she's second build in the movie, and I think she's going to be in quite a bit of it. But I do agree that she was in a lot less of the trailer than I expected her to be. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
But yeah, no, like it was promising. It just took about halfway through the trailer for me to like kind of like get into sync with it, and then by then I'm like, okay, this still looks.
I don't expect this movie to be a huge success. I think it's going to be a love it or hate it kind of movie, honestly.
No, it's gonna be like Guns Akimbo and Boss Level, where we're gonna have to go out and tell people if it's good. Hey, you guys need to check out Boy Kills World. Have you guys heard of Boy Kills World? You got to check this out. I feel like that's exactly what's going to be. And it's going to be one of those movies that we're either going to be talking about at the end of the year about, hey, you guys need to check this movie out. It's really fun. Or it's going to be something that's going to come out and we're just like, yeah, I'm going to forget about this in 2 days.
Yeah, this could be my best of list, or it could be my most disappointed list.
And it might not hit anything for me because I didn't have 2 years of anticipation like Brian did.
Yeah.
Going into our next trailer, we had the Horizon American Saga trailer. Now, I am not a big Westerns guy, but I do watch Yellowstone. This is Kevin Costner's, is it his directorial debut?
Oh no,
No, I was like he's directed
he won for
all
Dancing with
of them.
Wolves, and then he also did The Postman and Open Range.
Yeah, so I was like that doesn't sound right when I said it. But he's doing this like 2-part chapter thing. One comes out in, I think it was like
One's
June,
June,
and the
one's
other one's in
August.
August. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's names in it. Granted, they were blink and you miss their faces in it. It looks fine. It didn't really move the needle for me. I think when we went and saw Dune 2, my girlfriend seemed more intrigued by the trailer, but I had already seen it at that point. But I was watching her watch it, and she seemed, kind of intrigued by it. I don't really care. I mean, I might check it out, but this didn't really move my needle for excitement level at all. I mean, because every person I saw was like, oh, there's Luke Wilson. Oh, there's a freaking good God, I'm blanking on his name. My head's not working today. Guardians of the Galaxy, Walking Dead, Mallrats.
Michael Rooker.
Thank you, Michael Rooker. Jesus, I'm sitting here going, what the hell is his name? You saw him, blink and miss. Luke Wilson, blink and you miss him. And then it's like everyone else, it's like, oh, it's that guy from that one thing. And then there's Kevin
Yeah,
Costner.
Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Giovanni Ribisi, Jenna Malone, Michael Rooker, Danny Houston, Luke. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, there's Giovanni, quick shot, gone. Then
Jeff Fahey, Will
Hudson,
Patton.
he at least had like dialogue in the trailer, and then you saw Worthington a couple times. Just like, okay, cool. But yeah, this one really didn't do much for me. But once again, these kind of movies, the trailer doesn't really sell you on it. It's more you have to just go in and watch it kind of thing. But what were your thoughts on it?
I heard he was making another movie, and that it was going to be a 2-part thing, and then he was directing it, and I was like, okay, maybe it could be good, because I like Open Range is probably my favorite movie that he's directed. I think it's a really good underrated movie. It's an excellent Western. He's great at filming it. He was good at acting in it. This one almost feels like it's more for the Yellowstone audience, which I've never really watched Yellowstone.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, my problem is I watched this trailer, and if I didn't know it was going to theaters, I'd think, "Oh, look at this TV miniseries coming out."
Like
It
Lonesome
looks like a
Dove.
TV miniseries.
Like Lonesome Dove, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's going to be a 3-day series event kind of thing, like, because that's what it felt like to me. Or like, was it like that? Was it Hatfield and McCoy's, where it was
Yep.
like 3 weeks on the History Channel or something? Like, that's what this felt like.
It feels like that, and especially being Kevin Costner, the one thing he does do is he makes things much longer than they need to be. I mean, even when he was like, his version of Wyatt Earp, which he didn't direct, but he had real hands on as a I think he was also a producer on it. That was like twice as long as it needed to be, and this one to be stretched into 2 movies, it's like, you're really taking a chance that people are going to care enough about the first one they want to stick around for the second one. But it definitely feels. I mean, I'm saying I'll watch it, but I honestly don't know if I'll watch it just because of the length. But it feels underwhelming to me.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a made for streaming, made for TV film, which is not a bad thing. We're in a day and age.
They
where
put this thing
not bad
on. They put this
anymore.
thing on as like instead of like 2 movies, make it like a 4-part miniseries on Peacock or wherever else. I think that it would probably be better received. I think going to theaters, I think it's not going to do huge numbers
I don't think
unless you never know what
it's
the
gonna do.
Yellowstone audience is going to turn out. You never know what some of these older audiences turn out for.
I
So
still don't see. I mean, in the heart of the summer. Now, the second part is August, and that's usually kind of the trail off of summer. But you're going to throw this in June with what's coming out. I don't like. This is an alternative for people who don't want to watch that stuff. But I don't think you're looking at this box office the way like
I
it's.
feel like there's 2 things against. I think the fact that it might not do great numbers at the box office will actually hurt it, because people go, "Oh, look at that thing's flopping. It must not be very good." And also the fact that it's 2 parts, I think are going to keep some people away.
I feel like this is going to top out around 65 mil in the US. And it's not going to I don't think it's going to have much of a worldwide gate out of this. I don't think a lot of people really give a crap about people trying to go through the Oregon Trail, dealing with Indians. I don't think this is something that's really going to market on international.
The thing is, I also wonder, I think if you ask me, and I don't know this, I haven't read any interviews or anything about this, I think that they aren't expecting to make a lot of money on this in theaters. I think the fact that they're putting them out 2 months apart tells me they don't expect this, like the one movie, to have legs, because it'll be,
Which, unless it's in the contract that it has to be released in theaters, I don't see why they wouldn't have just released this on Paramount Plus, which is where all the Yellowstone stuff is.
Well, because because movies that go to theaters first, almost regardless of how well they do, have have done better on streaming than things that go straight to streaming, because people see them as real movies,
Mhm.
and they, they get more views and things like that. And so basically, the theatrical release acts as almost a marketing campaign for the streaming release. And if they're looking at it that way, if they're like, hey, well, we'll make some money, but it's mostly, it'll live on in streaming, we'll get people interested in it, then fine, do it. And like you said, it's alternative programming. If people don't want to see the big blockbustery kind of summer movies, and that's what August, like we've always said, is kind of made for those.
Yeah.
But this one coming out in June, that one's going to hurt it. But I don't think it'll do great. Whether that'll be good, I don't know. But it does look kind of.
Plus, I also see them re-releasing the first one in August when the second one comes out. So at that point, if you're going to do that, why wait and watch it in June? You can probably just go watch both in August, kind of thing. Next, there was a random trailer that popped up. I thought it was a straight to streamer, but as I was watching, I was like, oh no, this is going to be probably one of those movies that people are going to talk about. It's called The Watchers. I believe it's A24. I know I already lost Brian. Produced by M. Night Shyamalan, which kind of almost lost me, because you guys know how I feel about M. Night. But in typical M. Night fashion, his trailers are intriguing. Like I said, M. Night's the ultimate con man. He knows how to get people interested in his movies, just the movies themselves aren't. This has got is it Elle or Dakota?
Dakota.
It's Dakota. Okay. I thought it was Dakota, but every time I think it's one or the other, it's usually the other one. So she looks like she was kidnapped or dropped off in this room, like with a bunch of other random people. It's one big room, and there's this big glass window. And apparently they're saying, we're a show. We're a reality show, and there's these creatures that are outside in the woods that watch us. And you're the new character. And that's kind of the only real premise we've got. And, it seems like they get out of the room at some point, at least in the trailer. Because she seems more interested on, I want to see who's watching us. Aren't you interested in seeing, who's actually watching us? And then you kind of get a brief shot of a creature at the end. Why am I afraid that this is another fucking The Village? Where it's like, oh, it's a creature. And then you find out, like, oh, no, it's just people dressed up like creatures. And it's just all like a big mind fuck the whole way through. Because that's the first thing I thought of when I watched this, was like, this could be good, or it could be another Village movie. And if it's another Village movie, I am literally going to lose all hope for M. Night. Not that he's directing this, but still, he put his name on it.
Well, his daughter's directing it.
Oh, is it? Okay, so
yeah.
it's still in the Shyamalan like group here.
Yeah, which I mean, that kind of gives me a little hesitation, because it's like, okay, I'm going to get my daughter direct a movie, and it's like, okay, whatever. But I mean, when I looked into it, she didn't just do that. She's went to film school. Like, apparently she's cut her teeth on music videos and shorts and other things like that. And I guess she directed several episodes of his he has a series called Servant, which I haven't watched, but I've heard of it.
I've heard good things. I've never watched
it. She's done some directing and writing on those. And so it's like, she's not just trying to jump into the deep end. So I mean, and the trailers for it looked intriguing. It's like you said, it's typical M. Night Shyamalan. It looks intriguing, but it could totally go either way. Let's just hope she has a better debut than Robin Williams' daughter's directorial debut, Lisa Frankenstein, which was it?
Which, like I said in my review, there are things to like about Lisa Frankenstein. The best way I described it, if you guys hadn't seen the review, is I felt like it was a group project that had a lot of great ideas, and they had a lot of things they wanted to do and have fun with. But then it was like, oh, wait, we got to turn this thing in at midnight, and it's 10 o'clock. Let's just throw it out. And that's what Lisa Frankenstein did, because the whole ending, I was just like, there was a lot of things you guys were starting that you guys really just didn't complete, didn't finish, or whatever. And it's one of those things where I liked her style, but the overall product didn't work. We'll see what M. Night's daughter, what's her name? I don't want to keep calling her M. Night's daughter.
She is Ishana Night Shyamalan.
Okay, Ishana. M. Night's daughter.
Ishana.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see what she does. But I mean, Brian already is on negative because it's an A24, and I think it's hold on. Let's go track record on this. You have like a 1 out of 8 on A24 that you like. Like 1 out of every 8 A24s, you're like, okay, that was fine. Am I wrong?
It's definitely no more than 1 out of 5. But I mean, there are more often than not things that and for the style of A24, they're playing people like them. I respect that. It's not my vibe.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Last. Oh, before we, I mean, I got one big last trailer. Was there any other trailers that you've seen? Because I know you've seen a little more than I have.
The only one I saw that you didn't, I think, that I want to mention was Wild Robot, which is a new DreamWorks movie from the makers of How to Train Your Dragon. I assume it's going to be attached to Kung Fu Panda this weekend. That's why they're releasing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching this trailer, and it's basically just this robot seems to wake up out in the middle of the forest. And it's like him like exploring, like, you know, watching the animals and kind of learning things and kind of, and it doesn't tell much at all about the story of it. It's just kind of a vibe. And there's like no dialogue through almost the entire thing until the very end. And I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks like it'd be very cute. It has very much of an Iron Giant kind of vibe to it.
Is it Iron Giant kind of with Wall-E? Because you kind of are piquing me on a Wall-E mindset with it not being.
It kind of has that feel to it. Now, I don't know the plot of the movie, things like that, so I can't tell if that's accurate. But I would say the vibe is very much Iron Giant meets Wall-E, because it kind of has that like Wall-E, his little relationship with like the little cricket or cockroach, whatever. I think that it kind of feels like that a lot of points. At one point, he finds this egg, which a little duckling hatches out of it, and then near the end, you see him like running with the duck trying to help it to fly, and then it flies up to reach its flock and it flies away and kind of looks back, and you get this tear in your eye, like, oh my gosh. It's like, because he has this connection with the duck. But like I said, it's essentially dialogueless, except at the end there's like this, I don't want to say narration, it's like this voice of some computer or something talking to him, and I think it just looks beautiful. It looks like it could be a really good animated film. Plus the DreamWorks, I mean, especially the ones who did How to Train Your Dragon, things like that, I think they have a good track record. The one thing that got me is the very end, they list the cast list of, and I'm like, no, I kind of liked it with no voices. I kind of wanted a Wall-E, you know?
Yeah, I think in How to Train Your Dragon, you just had like John Garland, and you had what's his name, who was the president, who actually saw him in like real look.
Oh, is that Fred Ward?
Yeah, no. Fred Ward. No, okay. No, not Fred Ward.
I was getting mixed up with. I don't know.
Fred Ward is Tremors, right?
Yeah,
Fred Willard.
I was getting mixed up, but I can't remember. Anyway,
Fred Willard.
Willard, yes, thank you.
Okay.
I knew Fred Ward was wrong. It's like, wait. It's got the voices of Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Bill Nighy, Catherine O'Hara, Stephanie Sue, Kit Connor. I don't know who that is, but I'm like, I kind of the fact that things are gonna have voices, like, I don't want them to have voices. I mean, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's just other robots or something that show. I don't know. But it's like, please don't make the animals talk in this movie. Please don't make the animals talk in this movie, because I think that'll ruin the whole vibe of it.
Yeah, you sold me on this trailer how you were describing it to me, and it made me go, well, I'm just gonna wait and watch this when I go see Kung Fu Panda this weekend. But then he told me the cast list. I'm like, no, there's no fucking way they're gonna be quiet. It's like it's good. There's too many names in here that are gonna have to talk. But
if it had like one or two voices in it, I'd be like, okay, maybe one's the robot, maybe one's this voice that he's hearing talk to him from wherever, I don't know. But then, like you said, there's like this list of more names. I'm like, oh no, and it might still be good. It's just, I think I would.
Mean, it might still be good, but what you sold me on sounds better.
And now it isn't coming out until like October. I'm sure there'll be a second trailer which will tell us more about it. This is purely a teaser. But what I saw of it actually looks kind of beautiful and kind of cute and really endearing.
All right. The last big trailer, Borderlands. Did you ever play Borderlands?
I started to play Borderlands. I never finished it. Not because I didn't like it, just because I got distracted and never went back to it.
I love Borderlands. My best friend Ryan and we played the shit out of these games. Okay, let's put it this way. Since you didn't really get to play this, I already know what your initial thoughts were, but I'm going to have to let you say it to everyone watching. What were your initial thoughts of this trailer?
Well, I've been looking forward to this movie for a couple of years now, because mostly because of the cast. Because you got, I just blanked out. Kate Blanchett. You got, Jack Black, although just the voice. You got young Gamora. I always forget her name.
Ariana Greenblatt.
Yeah, but just this cast top to bottom. You got the guy who played Victor Drago in Creed. But I love the cast of it, and just the fact that it seems like a video game movie from what I've played of it, which is just, it's not going to try and be anything serious. It's going to just be fun, and it's going to be, almost, very comical, things like that. And so I was really looking forward to this. And like for years, heard nothing about it, nothing about it. And even though they had supposedly finished filming, still heard nothing about it. And we finally saw some first look images. The fact that it's Eli Roth directing, I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, that's my little hesitation. But a lot of people, including you, like Thanksgiving. I still have not watched Thanksgiving yet.
I enjoyed Thanksgiving. He did that. What was it House of the Clock in his walls, which it wasn't great, but it showed me that he can do something besides his, shock
Gore
horror.
porn, yeah.
So it showed me that he can do other things. So I was looking forward to this. The trailer finally dropped, and the trailer looks very fun. Now I think this is more an aspect of the marketing, not necessarily a fault of the movie, but it really, really wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy. From the needle drops to the kind of humor and the tone of it and things like that. And like I said, that's not a bad thing. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that is actually probably the perfect tone for this movie, for this game. So when I say that it looks like it's trying to be that, it's not a knock against the movie at all. It's just I think that the trailer is just trying really hard to kind of get that audience.
People on that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a comparison you want to make, because it'll be really hard for you to live up to that kind of thing.
Okay, so coming from someone who's played the games, that's exactly what they're doing. And you know what? That's totally fine. That's Borderlands. I mean, now granted, you're not in a big group like they are in this. It's kind of more of a first-person shooter. You can team up with a buddy, and it's a two-person thing. And you don't get a whole lot of character development with the main characters that we're watching in this. You're just playing them, and you get little things here and there, but not. I felt I got to know what these characters more in this trailer than I probably did playing Borderlands. But I'm watching, like, okay, this is very Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's Eli Roth. So I'm leaning, and it's Borderlands. So this has to be R-rated. I don't think they gave a rating for this yet. At least according to IMDb, there's no rating yet. This has to be R-rated. If it's PG-13, I feel like that's going to do a disservice for Borderlands, because Borderlands is a very gory kind of film. And if you're going to give me an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy with the Borderlands characters, I am fucking in. That sounds great. Claptrap is Jack Black. That works. I'm not saying he was born for this like Kung Fu Panda, but he would be great, Claptrap. Ariana Greenblatt is Tiny Tina. I didn't know that was going to work, but I watched that trailer. I'm like, I can totally see Tiny Tina as her. Gina Gershon as Moxie. I can see that. Kate Blanchett as Lilith. Florian Minutinu. That's Creed. That's him as Craig. Granted, he's probably not going to talk. He's probably just going to be the silent mask dude. Perfect. I mean, Florian looks amazing in everything, so I'm excited to see what he does with that. Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis. And then you got Kevin Hart as Roland, which I know that's your big thing.
That's the part. That's a negative for me right there.
I want to say you're going Aquafina with this, but Kevin hasn't really won you over lately. But I'm fine with Kevin being in this. I think he'll be fine as Roland. I
think being an ensemble movie with him, if he's more background characters, like say Jumanji,
him and Kate Blanchett are gonna be the leads.
Oh, see, if he was more like Jumanji, he was in like the main group, but he wasn't like the lead character of it.
No, Kate Blanchett is going to be the main, but he'll be the number two. So much like
that bothers me, because I just see everything I've seen him in when he has more to do, like Lift, for instance.
Because I know when I played Borderlands, I was his character. I was Roland. So he's gonna be a main, just like with Tiny Tina and all them. Now, the one thing that until I saw this cast list, I could have swore that Edgar Ramirez was going to play Handsome Jack, but he's actually playing Atlas. So either Handsome Jack is not in this because he's the main bad guy in pretty much the entire series, or they're keeping that quiet, which if that's the case, I'm totally fine with that. But I loved how this looked. I loved the tone we had of this. I think it looks fun as hell. I am totally down for a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque kind of version of this. I loved this trailer. This trailer got me super excited. If anything, this helped bump it up my anticipation level quite a bit. Yeah, this looks great to me. I'm happy as hell with what we got, and that's coming from someone who cannot stand Eli Roth as a director. I still love him in Inglourious Bastards, but I have never liked anything Eli Roth has directed. This could be.
I think you'd enjoy Thanksgiving, honestly.
Like I said, I still haven't watched it. It's weird. I went from like there are two directors I absolutely can't fucking stand: Guy Ritchie and Eli Roth, and yet in the span of like potentially in a year, I'm now going, oh, Guy Ritchie. I'm starting to like his stuff now, and now potentially Eli Roth. I'm like, oh crap, am I actually going to start liking Eli Roth stuff? So it's intriguing. It's interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes. This
I will say I am less convinced that it'll be R-rated. I think that the fact that it's, you know, when you have the Jack Black and the Kevin Harts of it all, and the fact that it's based on a video game, and just that Guardians of the Galaxy tone they're going for, I feel like it's going to be PG-13. But I feel
like with Eli Roth, there's an R-rated cut out there. There's an R-rated cut out there.
Maybe it's possible.
But even the last part of the trailer with Claptrap, like looking like he was shitting, like it looked like coins, but it's nuts and bolts. Just that right there. I was like, that's Borderlands' humor right there. That is the humor. It's fart, puke, piss jokes, and you have to be on board with it. And if you're not, then Borderlands is not going to be your movie. But that is right up my alley, and I'm excited for it. That's it for the
Thanksgiving now on Netflix, so you can check it out.
What's that?
Thanksgiving is now on Netflix.
Oh, is it? Okay. So I got that. Now I got that and The Creator I have to watch at some point. Now going to reviews. I have two movies that I've watched recently that I did not shoot single reviews for. Do you have anything that you have to talk about?
I have nothing major. I'll give you a couple like little one-line things. Okay. I finally saw Zone of Interest, which is one of the best picture nominees for this year.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I didn't think you would. Not that I've seen it, but I read what it was about, and I was like,
I mean, I understand that. Like, I understand they're going for like to show the mundanity of you know, daily life for like these German officers and their families who are living right next door, and just the other side of the wall, you can hear, you know, the screams and the atrocities that we know are going on.
Isn't it like Auschwitz? Aren't they like?
Right, yeah, it's outside. Yeah, it's at Auschwitz. Yeah. It's basically the officers, people who work at Auschwitz and who manage it. And it's like they're having these discussions and things about everything they're doing over there, and you kind of see the after effects, things like that. But you don't actually see anything happening. You just can hear it, and you know it's looming just over that wall. Gotcha. And I totally got that, and I got the vibe they were going for. The problem is nothing. I mean, nothing happens in this movie. It's like I'm waiting for, okay, what's the plot of this movie? Where's it going to go? It doesn't go anywhere. And right to the very ending, you're just like, what was that? That was just, I didn't understand. They could have made a good story out of it. Could have had some kind of movie to it, but it's just it's one of those things where it's like I don't know if I watched a different movie than everybody else, because everybody else is like, you know, raving about it and Best Picture nominations, things like that.
For sure, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later here as well with another movie. But
I honestly thought it was one of the most boring films I watched this year, and I watched some stinkers, but at least they were interesting to watch. But anyway, other than that, I watched a lot of straight to VOD kind of stuff. I watched No Way Up, which I know you did a review of, with the shark in the plane.
Okay. I seem to feel, and I don't know what you thought yet. Apparently, I might be the only person that actually dug this movie, because everyone else was like, this is boring, this was stupid, this was fucking dumb. And I was just like, I like the simplicity of it. I thought for a relative no-name cast and what we got out of it, I thought it was, for a straight to VOD, I thought it was good. What was your thoughts?
I thought that what I saw of it, I mean, what there was of it, I enjoyed. I liked the vibe of it. I mean, the sharks, it wasn't like a lot of shark action. It was more just kind of the looming danger of the sharks.
Yeah, the presence of looming danger. It wasn't about it being a Jaws. It was like a Jaws movie, but we didn't have the huge animatronic, you know, Jaws attack. It was more, they're out there, get the fuck out of the water. Don't go going up there. You're gonna die if you do that.
And the characters and everything I thought were fine. My only problem with it was there just wasn't much to it. It was just kind of like, it was like you said, the simplicity of it. But to me, it was like they could have put a little. It just needed a little more of something. So I didn't necessarily dislike it. It was fine.
Yeah. You got to remember, this is from the same people who did 47 Meters Down and shit, where like the whole movie is them just stuck in a fucking shark cage.
Yeah.
And whether or not they're going to fly up. I mean, it's like, for what they're very good at doing simplistic. Like I said, it's not a movie you're going to remember 2 weeks from now. But for what I watched, it that was like, what, an hour and a half. It's like, hey, it entertained me for an hour and a half.
And then I watched a movie which by all accounts should have been just horrible. But I actually thought it wasn't bad. And it's called Air Force One Down. It's basically Air Force One. There's this female Secret Service agent played by Catherine McNamara, who I had to look up. She so familiar. She had small parts and things like Maze Runner. And that apparently she was a character called Mia Smoke, who was on Arrow. She was like his
Yep,
daughter or
yep,
something.
I know who you are.
But apparently she's got a whole. She was on a show called Shadowhunters, which I've never heard of. But she plays a Secret Service agent. She's assigned to it's her first day on the president's detail on Air Force One.
Isn't Stephen Amell in this
terrorists take
also?
over. She's trying to protect him. What's that?
Isn't Stephen Amell in this also?
I don't think so.
There's a movie where they're both actually going to be in. I thought it might have been this, but go on.
No. And it looks like what it is, just straight to VOD. You know, just forgettable throwaway movie. But I watched it, and because I saw a trailer for it, I'm like, it looks interesting enough. You know, I'll throw it on the background while I'm doing something else, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. I mean, it definitely feels VOD. There's not any other big stars in it. Really, Anthony Michael Hall plays her father, who he's just got a very small supporting role in the movie. Other than that, it's a lot of no names. But for what it was, I thought it wasn't bad, and I've certainly seen a lot worse straight to VOD movies. What I didn't know until after I watched it, which is probably one of the good reasons I enjoyed it, is this is yet another stuntman turned director directed this. And I've been talking about that a lot recently with Sam Hargrave, who did the Extraction films, with David Leitch, with Chad Stahelski, who did the John Wick movies and things like that. And this is another one where they kind of I like that vibe of the stuntmen becoming directors and directing the action, because it just feels that much. The action seems more entrenched into the movie, and I think it's more well done. I'm not saying this is a great movie. I'm not saying it's going to win any awards. I think a lot of people would hate this movie, but I thought it wasn't bad.
There are two. I just pulled up the cast while you were talking. I do know who the president and the vice president are. The vice president, Dasha Polanco. She was in Orange Is the New Black and In the Heights. You knew her from In the Heights.
Oh, okay.
One of the three. One of the three hairdresser girls. She's the one that's like, I'm sorry, the slutty one. That's that one. And then the president's Ian Bohen, which most people, yeah, that's her. At least I'm looking at her IMDb photo. I was like, yeah, that's her.
No, I'm not doubting you. I just didn't realize that.
Yeah. And Ian Bohen, who plays the president in the movie, he is from Teen Wolf, and he was also in Yellowstone. I love this guy.
Oh, see, I haven't watched this. That's why I didn't know.
He's someone that I've always, when he pops up, I'm like, yay! I said there he is. Like, I couldn't remember his name, but I love him in those two things. So yeah, those are two people I recognize from there. Now for me, my two movies are a little more mainstream, and I'm honestly surprised you hadn't seen one of these. I figured one of these you definitely would have seen. Honestly, knowing you, I'm surprised you hadn't seen both of them. The first one is
theater in weeks, honestly, except for
one of them's Netflix and one of them's theater. The first one is Players. It came out on Netflix. When did it come out? It was in February. It's got Gina Rodriguez in it, Damon Wayans Jr., Tom Ellis. For most people who don't know, that's Lucifer from the show Lucifer. Basically, it's a group of friends who basically are players, and they run games on guys and women to hook up with. And then when the main character, Mac, played by Gina Rodriguez, starts to fall for Tom Ellis's Nick, who's like the most eligible bachelor, kind of thing. She basically says, hey, we want to run our game, but I want to run a game to be in a serious relationship with him, not just a sleep with him and move on kind of thing. A lot of people are shitting on this movie. I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes, like a 20-something, 25%. I actually enjoyed this movie. I actually had fun with it. And the reason why is it's not that the story is anything we haven't seen 1,000 times before, but this is kind of like, and it's not on the same level. So I'm going to say this, you're going to do your head tilt, and I'm not, I go, don't put it on the same level with it. But it was kind of like almost like Set It Up with Netflix. It's something that I went into where I was like, okay, we'll see what it is. I was like, you know what? I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed this friend group. There's, Augustus Prue, never knew
one of the kids Willy Wonka.
Yeah, right. Because I'm like, who is this guy? Because he looks like five people that I know from movies. This guy's hilarious in this movie. He's kind of like the Barney of the group, for How I Met Your Mother people. And he's just hilarious. And then you got Joel Courtney, who plays Little. People know him from like The Kissing Booth.
Super 8.
What's that?
I know him from Super 8.
Which
Joel
one?
Courtney?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. A lot of people don't know Super 8. Super 8's a fantastic film, by the way, if anyone hasn't watched it. But it's those two with Gina Rodriguez and Damon Wayans Jr. I love Damon Wayans Jr. I've always loved Damon Wayans Jr. So anytime he pops up in something, I'm gonna watch it. And that was that and Tom Ellis. That was my selling point to get into this movie. But like I said, it's not anything. It's not doing anything original or new or anything like that, which is probably why their ratings are so meh on it. But I enjoyed the group here. Also, I want to shout out this person, and she might be, where the awards we do like, breakthrough, I got next award. I thought she was going to be a small role, but she grows bigger through the movie. Lisa Koshy. She plays Ashley. She's a part. She joins the group. This girl's a spitfire, and I had fun whenever she was on camera. I was like, I like her. She's fun. She's quick. She's very like kind of like quick delivery. She's like feels like she's always on point, and I just had fun in watching her. If anything, the weak link of the movie was Tom Ellis, which sucks because I love Tom Ellis. I really, really do. But yeah, it was a fun movie. I had fun with it. But a lot of people, hell, Jordan, my Wrestling Crusaders host, he pulled a U on me, where it's like he saw my review for it, and he was like, "Hey, our show's canceled. I can't work with you anymore because you like this movie." Because I gave it a 75. Because I was like,
I've seen some of the stuff he gives good ratings to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like it's solid. And he's like, I don't know, man. I was like, hey, don't make me go into your letterbox and find some shit that you. And yeah. He's like, touche. And I was like, okay. I was like, but no, it's on Netflix. It's like hour and a half, hour 45. I had fun with it. It's not a bad movie. It's right now. It's in my top 5 for the year. It's definitely not going to stay there, obviously. But for what we've got to see so far this year, based off of what I've got to see so far this year, it's one of the better films so far. But yeah, I had fun with that.
I haven't seen Lisa Koshy in anything. Although I did see that she's the voice of RC in Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah, she is. Like I said, to me, this is a breakthrough role because it's the first time I ever see her on camera. But I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed everyone. And
yeah, I didn't watch this movie yet, but I saw the trailer for it. I mean, I don't know if it was known about, and I just didn't hear about it because I didn't hear about it until like a week or two ago. I heard about it. And I watched the trailer for it
about a month ago.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for it, and it actually does interest me. I added it to my watch list. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet. But I will say that
I'll say this: you'll watch it. If I'm predicting, I've done a pretty good job predicting your scores, and it's probably because we've been friends for so long. I see a 2.5, maybe a 3 out of you. Unless it hits you like it hit me, then you might get it to a 3.5. But I feel
from what I'm seeing, I would guess myself a 3. Probably a 3.5, maybe a 3.
I think a lot of it is going to rest on how well you like the chemistry of the group.
Well, because that's from what I saw in the trailer, the thing that appealed to me most was that chemistry of the group. And also, one thing about it is one of my favorite discoveries. I mean, I didn't discover it; it's been around apparently since 2019. But a movie I watched for the first time, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, was another Netflix movie starring Gina Rodriguez called Someone Great. It has her, DeWanda Wise, and Brittany Snow in it. And I was surprised how much I really liked that movie, and I think you might enjoy that one too, since you enjoy this one so much. Now it doesn't have a lot of male cast to it.
But the 3 people that you mentioned, I like all 3 girls.
But it definitely kind of has that a similar kind of vibe to it, and so I mean I like Gina Rodriguez in these kind of roles. It's another Netflix movie, so I imagine it's probably maybe it has some of the same people behind it. I don't know, but yeah, this is one I'm planning to check out. Just haven't yet.
Yeah. My next one, I had no real reason to watch this because it didn't sell me on it, but I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna check it out, and that was Drive Away Dolls. I am not a Coen Brothers fan. There's some things that they do, I'm like, okay, that was fine, and there are other things I'm like, wow, you guys are so up your asses on this. Like this is like Raising Arizona. That movie is not fucking funny. That movie's fucking stupid. I know you've known this, but No Country for Old Men, it's good. It's not the best motherfucking movie that's ever come out. Like
what I was gonna say is, except for Raising Arizona, I think I mostly agree with you on the Coen Brothers because I feel that they're very hit and miss, but I like them when they are leaning more into their comedies, into the Big Lebowski's, into the Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and things like that. Tucker Proxy I even really like, but when they're doing the more serious stuff, the No Country for Old Men and things like that, I just again, just not my vibe. I don't enjoy those nearly as much. So this one, when I saw the trailer for it, I thought, well, this one, I mean, it's only one of the brothers, but I'm like, okay, this is at least leaning more into the side of the Coen Brothers that I like. So I was kind of looking forward to it. Then I heard 2 things. One, that it's like 80 minutes long.
It is less than 80 minutes. It's 80 minutes with credits. Like it's like 117 or 100. It's an hour 17. It is.
I mean, a short movie can be good if the story is told well. It can be told in that time. But the short thing did make me feel like, you know, maybe I'm not in a rush to see this. And then I heard a lot of very mixed reviews about it, to where I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not going to go see it in theaters. Maybe I'll just wait till it shows up on streaming somewhere. But you saw it, so go ahead.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, this is Ethan Coen. This is Ethan Coen directing this one, not Joel. I'm not super crazy about Margaret Qualley. I mean, she's fine. I just never really watched anything that made me go, I really like her. She's just kind of like, oh, she's just there. But I do like Geraldine Viswanathan. Viswanathan.
Sounds good.
I do really like her. I liked her in is it Broken Hearts Gallery? I want to say that's what it's called.
I believe she was just added to Captain America: Brave New World too.
She's going to be in
there. It was the Thunderbolts. I think it was Thunderbolts she was added to.
Yeah, it's Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's funny in Miracle Workers with Daniel Radcliffe. But yeah, Broken Hearts Gallery. She's also funny in Blockers. I really like her, and that was kind of the thing that made me go, well, maybe I'll check it out because I want to see what she does. But yeah, this movie.
Package. If you haven't seen that one,
what's that?
The Package on Netflix.
What? I didn't hear you. What?
The Package on Netflix. That's another one with her.
I have not seen that. But yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's a typical Coen Brothers movie. It's about two lesbians who are going on a road trip to like Tallahassee. They pick a car that's literally being held for someone who has something in the trunk. They take the car, and then they're basically now being hunted. We've heard this story before. We've seen this story before, except that it's two lesbians. I think it's 1999 is when it's set.
Is there a purpose for that?
What? 1999?
1999.
No.
Beyond, I feel like nowadays people said a lot of things in the 90s just so they can like have an excuse for them not to all have cell phones.
That's literally, I think I was about to say, like, I think literally the only reason is so that way they can't just get a hold of them via a cell phone to kind of call them and say, hey, you took the wrong car. I think it's more or less because they just can't do anything with it. But yeah, Qualley, she's got a weird kind of cadence voice in this. She's going real Southern kind of thing. And she's got this kind of very much of a, saying this second time, she's very much a Barney Stinson kind of character, which, you know what? At first, very off-putting, but then like after about like 10 minutes, you kind of get used to the way her character is. And they're best friends. They kind of, or Beanie Feldstein's in it as well, but she's only got like 4 or 5 scenes, and she's just very, very Beanie Feldstein in this, which can be good or bad. I didn't really.
That could go either way. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Damon's got a small part in the scenes he's in. He's funny. And I think the only Coleman Domingo, he's great. Pedro Pascal is in the very beginning of it. He's not really given a whole lot to do in the very beginning. He's kind of like the typical Coen brother character. He's in the very beginning, and then he gets killed. Spoiler, but it literally is in the trailer, so I'm not really hiding anything. Coleman Domingo's good in it, and then it's just a bunch of kind of people you might notice from like a TV show or something. Nothing really great out of that. It is an hour 17. It felt like an hour 45. The only reason to watch this is Qualley and Geraldine's performances and their chemistry together. When the movie was focused on them and they were just having their little adventure, it's fun. I enjoyed watching these two work together. I enjoyed watching their interactions. I had fun watching these two. They're quirky, they're quick, it's funny. I adored watching them once I got used to how their characters were. It was the side story about the people who are trying to come after them that was incredibly annoying, and it took me out of the movie every time. And then, for some fucking reason, I think there's like at least 4 or 5 times in this movie, I kept thinking it was a transition, which it kind of is, but it's not, where Ethan stops the movie to do like a 30-second to a minute and a half long like psychedelic acid trip thingy, where the screen just goes into like tie-dye whoosh colors, and it brings in like Miley Cyrus and like some dude at one point who are not in the fucking film anywhere except for in these scenes. There's no reason for them. There's no transition for them. It's not even like the girls are high on drugs or anything and this is them tripping balls. There's literally no reason for these scenes to be in this movie, except to just make everyone go, what the fuck is going on?
I feel like now having not seen this, just hearing your description of it and knowing the runtime, I feel like he had a good idea for a short story. I feel like he had a good idea for a short story, but he's like, okay, nobody wants to watch a short story, so let's like throw filler in subplots and weird animated things to stretch out the runtime to at least 80.
You literally could have either spent more time with the group that I didn't care for. Matt Damon's character is an overarching character throughout the film. You could have given him some more time. But yeah, I mean, they could have stretched out Pedro's character a little bit more to kind of pad some time. Like there's areas in this movie where they could have stretched the story a little bit than doing these weird psychedelic transfer scenes, because it just had served zero purpose, and it just left you in a state of confusion. And like, had the girls like been doing drugs or getting, tripped on, whether it be acid or whatever, they're like, okay, this is kind of showing what they're visualizing and doing, but we're not ever getting that. And so it's just a random thing to happen, and it just completely just throws you into a loop. But like I said, for me personally, the movie itself is, when it's just the two girls on a road trip, it's fun. But there's just all this other meaningless stuff that happens in the movie that just I didn't give a shit about. And it's too short of a movie for me to not give a crap about this crap. So for me, I gave it like a 54. Like it had potential to be good. But once again, the Coen brothers just can't get out of their own fucking way, or Ethan in this point. And they go and they do stupid stuff that really makes no sense. And I would love for someone to explain to me how these psychedelic scenes made sense, because go ahead and try talking out of your ass, because there's no point for these scenes in this movie, because it's like 1999. I could see if maybe it was the 1970s and you're trying to make it like if like they were hippies or something, but they're not. It's a very I keep seeing everyone saying this. It's a very horny movie, and it is horny because there's so many, like kind of like how Poor Things is, like, oh, there's a ton of sex scenes. These girls, they mainly are just wanting to go and hook up. Mainly Corey's character. Is it Corey? I keep feeling like Quali.
Margaret Qualley?
Yeah, I was like, it's not Corey. She's not a freaking body of water.
No. It's Andy McDowell's daughter.
Yeah, but it's just, like I said, she's very much a Marty Ascension. She's very much like, I just want to screw, and I need to get her laid, so let's get her laid. It's a very horny movie, which I don't care. That could be fun, or it could just be overzealous. It was more fun because it fit the characters' narratives for the story. But yeah, it was meh the whole way through. And I was just kind of like, all right, so it was a Coen Brothers movie. But I don't think anyone else is really loving this either. So, okay. And you asked me, and I was like, this is what I thought. And you're like, okay, I don't need to waste my time watching it. So, but yeah. Now to our main story. Dune Part 2. Finally came out. It was supposed to come out last year. But it didn't because of the writer's strike. We finally got it released. This is a spoiler review. Okay, this is a spoiler conversation. If you want to see non-spoiler, you can check the channel, see my non-spoiler review, which will probably be coming up just before this one comes out. I don't know what Brian's thoughts are. I saw the letter score. That's all I heard. I don't know your thoughts on this. But much like A24, Brian is not a Dune fan. You have been dreading this movie. You literally said last week, and I quote, I am already sick and tired of people praising this movie, and it hasn't even fucking come out yet.
But the thing is, you act like I had something against the movie. I have something against the hype surrounding the movie.
You have an issue with Denis Villeneuve fans, much like Nolan.
Well, I will say they are. I think I said in my review of the first movie that they are getting bad as bad as the cult of Christopher Nolan. In that it's like anything this man touches is automatically gold. Before I even see a frame of it, they've made up their minds. Like this is my review of this movie. It's gonna be 5-star masterpiece, things like that. Now, obviously not everyone, but there's definitely a certain very vocal group of people, just like with Christopher Nolan, which makes me sick of hearing about it. That does not mean I went into the movie expecting the movie bad. I went into the movie hoping I would like it, and we'll see what we're like.
Yeah, and Tarantino has the same kind of fans. So every popular director has these fans. Just the Nolan and the Denis are just very much more vocal
because they're more pretentious.
Exactly. Same thing with Coen Brothers. Coen Brothers have those fans too. But yeah, the first Dune film you and I both watched, and let's get this way. Denis Villeneuve, He's a really good director. He is. We're not saying at all that Denis is a bad director. We have never once said that. I've never seen a bad Denis Villeneuve movie, but I have seen movies of his where I was just kind of like, okay, it's fine. I don't like. I still think Arrival is just fine. Everyone talks about Arrival like it's this. It's okay. It's fine. But I've never seen a bad one. So he's a good director. If I don't have anything really to shit on about him, but I just don't think he's like, oh my god, Mount Rushmore of directors. But Dune. Now you saw the original Dune, right?
I actually didn't actually watch the original Dune until I think within the last 5-10 years.
Okay.
But I did see it, and it's pretty much a pile of shit.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard from most. But I never saw the original Dune. Now, when we going back to 2021, is it 2021 for Dune?
Yes, because it was a pandemic movie that fell off to 2021.
Yeah,
and it got the dual release. Yeah,
I want to say you and I both had the same mindset with the first Dune film, which was looks fantastic, sound design's fantastic. Hans Zimmer has a great score. Denis directs the shit out of this movie. Everyone does a good job acting, but I really just don't give a shit about the characters. That's how I felt when I saw it the first time.
Pretty much. And it's like I didn't give a shit about the characters. I thought that the story even was kind of But again, but one of the big problems there, it was the first half of a story. At least we thought it was half. Apparently, it's a third. But yeah.
Yeah, because that was always our thought process, was that it's two movies. They're splitting into two movies, and now we're gonna get a third now. But that was our general consensus, was that, like, look, everything here is working. Everything here is great. I just haven't cared yet. I don't care. But once again, now you connect Dune Part 2 to it. Everything's more fleshed out. The characters are more fleshed out. You're given more time to breathe with these characters. Dune Part 2 came out. It's about 15 minutes longer than the first one. Now, granted, I think you and I both went into it expecting it to be the final one, but now we know we're getting a third one now.
But even before I saw it, I had heard that basically, okay, they made Part 2. This kind of completes the story, and they say it tells a complete story, but it does leave a door open so you can see where it's going to go after this. I disagree. It feels very much like only Part 2.
It's very much a Two Towers. Like, it literally.
Yeah, there's definitely not a definitive ending to this movie.
No, it's no different than Empire Strikes Back and Two Towers, where Empire Strikes Back has a definitive ending to end that part of the story, but we're heading towards a final beginning. And same with Two Towers, the Helm's Deep battle ends, and now the real battle for Middle Earth begins, and we know we're going into a big thing. Dune 2 literally ends, and now the Holy War begins. It's like, no. We're getting
not even like, we're llooking forward to the war. It's like, oh, look, they're here. We're about to fight.
Yeah, we're about to get into this now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, like I said, I'll preface this in the non-spoiler review. Everything that we said about the first film, minus the character part, carries over to this. The movie looks fucking amazing. Visually, this movie is fucking gorgeous. I was mad that I couldn't watch this on IMAX. Did you get to see this in IMAX?
I did see an IMAX. I wasn't one of those true, like, giant 70 millimeter IMAX screens, things like that, but I did see an IMAX. It does look and sound beautiful. I will say, I feel like one of my criticisms of the movie is that, and it's part of the theme of it, it's just it's very drab. It's very dreary. It's all out in the sand, out in the desert. Thing is, it's a lot of tans and beiges and grays, and which kind of, I think, helps to kind of make me feel more bogged down by it. But the problem is, like, even in the posters for it, they have, it's still this desert setting, but they kind of put these vibrant oranges kind of in it.
That's the spice.
Huh? Yeah, but in the movie, it doesn't look that. Movie most of the time, it just looks like a drab tan thing. Now that's kind of the point of the movie, of this planet there. But so I guess it's not really a criticism of it. But I will say that while it looks very beautiful, I would have liked a little bit more color.
Instead of getting black and white.
Yeah, it's black and white and then tan.
Black color.
That's our color palette.
But anyway. Like you said, visually it looks gorgeous. The sand dunes. I don't know if they shot this on location or if it was green screen. If it was green screen, the green screen is top notch through this whole fucking movie. Sound design, Hans Zimmer. At this point, did you just want to give him the Oscar already? Because I don't think there's anyone else that's going to top his score for this year. It was beautiful. Even my girlfriend, we watched it, and we were driving home, and she was like, I don't know how to describe it. She goes, but the sound. I go, you talking about the score? She goes, yeah. She goes, I want this soundtrack. She goes, I love this kind of music. She goes, and I loved the score of this movie was fantastic. I was like, yeah,
The only thing with that, as far as the Oscars is concerned, is I don't know the scores well enough, like the original one, to know how much of it is new. Because if a lot of it is the same themes reused, that stuff makes it ineligible. If there's enough new music in it to make this one nominated,
I feel like there's going to be enough new to it because of certain scenes that are in this compared to the first one. There's going to be enough going through it. Casting. I don't know, and I know you're not going to be in the same boat for me, but you and I were both in the same boat probably till about a couple months ago. Timothée Chalamet, we're just like, he's there. Like, he's got performances where he's good, but other than that, he doesn't really do much for me. Wonka made me really, really enjoy Timothée Chalamet. I fucking loved him in this movie. He was fantastic in this film. I thought he hit a whole new level. I thought there were so many more layers to Paul Atreides or his 18 other names. He's fucking Khaleesi from Game of Thrones at this point with like names. There's so many fucking layers to his character and his performance in this. I fucking adored his performance through this. And I'll hold off on this because this is more about the story. But what were your thoughts on his performance? I know you were like me. You weren't a big fan of Chalamet. I loved him in Wonka. You were kind of like,
Well, did this help in Wonka, I liked him in Wonka only because it's like we saw a different side of Timothée Chalamet. He's always playing like these dramatic roles, and he's always very pouty and serious, things like that. And now we get to see him like, upbeat and happy and kind of, energetic, and it's a different side of him, which while I didn't enjoy everything about that movie, I liked that it was a different side of him, and I like that. I like that Timothée Chalamet.
We could see happy Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, I liked that Timothée Chalamet. In this movie, I think he does a good job. I don't think he's anything special. People are like raving about him, and I'm like, I think he did a good job. I just don't. I don't think he did more than anybody else you put in that same role would have done at the same time. Like if he's too old now, but like back in the day, if Leonardo DiCaprio played this role, I could see him doing more with it. Feel more about
fucking Leo though.
I know, but I'm saying people are like praising him as like this great actor. Oh, he got a lock for best actor and all those kind of things, and he's the next Daniel Day-Lewis. And it's like,
I wouldn't go that far.
I think a lot of what I talk about in this review, by the way, is going to sound negative. I'm going to have things to say, nitpicks here and there. I will say overall, I very much did enjoy this movie. Not to the extent of a lot of other people. That's going to be the overarching theme of my review of this movie. Just tell you that right now, and that includes Timothée Chalamet.
And it was weird because we got the kind of like like you said last week. I'm already sick and tired of hearing about Dune Part 2 and it hasn't even come out yet. We were hearing about the praising of this movie beforehand, and I kept seeing people go, "Wow, I saw Dune Part 2 4 days ago, and I'm still thinking about it, or it still is in my head." And it same with me. Like I still am going, and I'm just still thinking about shit that happened in the movie, and it's been probably since Endgame where that's happened, where I keep going back and thinking about certain scenes or thinking about certain things. Because when I got out of the movie, I was immediately like trying to critique it and come up with nitpicks here and there. But then like as the days kept going further and further away, I was just like, some things still kind of bother me, but other things I'm actually loving more. So obviously my number one film of the year right now, and I think it's probably your number one right now based off of what we've had so far this year. Yeah. I was telling Jordan this on our show last night. It's like, if Dune Part 2 is not in my top 10 by year's end, then we have a great fucking year of movies to come. If it is still in my top 10, well, no shit, it makes sense. But if it is not in my top 10, holy crap, we have some great movies to still come out this year. I feel like it's not going to be in your top 10 by the end of the year. Clearly, because you gave it 4 stars. But I really enjoyed this film. I think from first movie to second film, I felt this was a huge jump. Granted, it's the middle story. I've always been a fan. With The Lord of the Rings, Two Towers is my favorite movie of the trilogy. Most people, Empire Strikes Back is the favorite of the OG trilogy, because I feel like the first movie.
I know you love Fallen Kingdom, so yeah, okay.
Exactly. Shut the fuck up. You almost had me. I was like, wait, you said Fallen Kingdom. Fuck you. But no, it's like, and because the first movie's obviously setting the characters, plays on the table, and the second movie is when you really get to kind of breathe and expand and do more stuff, and that is what's going on.
Because you don't have to spend all the time on setup. Yeah,
exactly. Because you're already there. Now, there's still a ton of setup in this. There's a lot of new characters to get.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, and we're gonna that, and they don't get their time. They're supposed to. Now, once again, this could be very much like Dune 1, where it's like, well, yeah, there's all these people they didn't get the time, but then Dune 2 got to do it. Maybe in Dune 3, those gripes that we have will be spread out in there, and then as a whole, it might work out completely. But right now, yeah, there's certain new characters that I'm like, they probably could have given a little more time here and there on, but maybe in the third movie they'll do that. I thought Zendaya was fantastic in the film. Javier Bardem, great.
Javier Bardem's character. See, Javier Bardem is one of those actors who, like, I respect as an actor, but I've never really loved a lot of the stuff he's done. He seems very self-serious in a lot of things. There was a lot more humor to his role here than I expected.
Absolutely. I like Javier. I've never really loved Javier, but I loved him in this. He brought like just this humor to it, and it was one of those things where it's like he's always so serious, and then he's like, I'm hitting you with the joke. And you're like, okay, I can laugh. Okay, Javier's having fun. I like Javier's character with this. Like I said, almost every performance, I thought Rebecca Ferguson. I know you're gonna have issues, but this is the best I've seen her since she was Rose the Hat.
Well, Rose the Hat is still her best performance.
Yes, I agree.
I like Rebecca Ferguson. I think she does a great job acting here. My problem was not with her performance. I didn't like where they went with the character. But I mean, obviously, it's based on the book. That's where it was going to go. That's not the fault of the film necessarily. Yeah. It's just personally, I'm like, I just feel like they just kind of went down this road where I wasn't interested in what they did with the character.
And that's always something you have to kind of worry and take, hand in hand. Is that, like, you can hate if you hate how something's going. Well, is it like that in the book? If it is, then I can't be mad at the movie for it because the movie's following the formula.
That's what I say with that.
If it isn't in the book, then what the fuck were you doing? At that point, then I can be mad at it. But she's following that process, so it is what it is. But her transformation from where we saw her in the first film to end, I loved her performance throughout this movie. I thought it was great. The action set pieces. Don't show me the same shit, Dune. No, you didn't. I never. Paul's first ride on the sandworm, that was fun as hell. Hell, the first scene with him and Shawnee attacking that harvester, and they're under the leg and they're shooting it. Very much almost Star Wars-esque, but I loved how that was shot. Hell, the opening was very much someone posted it, and I was like, it was almost like The Happening, where they're like down on the ground and there's just the bodies drop, and I was like, the sound of that when they're being sniped on the cliff and they're dropping right in front of Paul and his mom. I loved that. Just this, like I said, sound design in this movie is fucking amazing. Everything action wise, I thought worked so damn well. And then of course the battle, or the, what would you call it? It's not the Emperor's Kingdom because it's like a fucking pyramid. It's his stronghold. What would you call
fortress? Whatever you call it.
Yeah. That attack when all the fucking that was awesome.
That's one of my major problems with the film.
Go.
Well, I mean, it's not a major problem with the film. It's like, of the problems I have, that is the biggest one I have. First of all, I find the sandworms to be very uninteresting. The way they look, I just think that they're kind of boring.
Creature in a space movie, so you kind of have to go with what they are.
I know, I'm just not that interested in them, but it's like it's fine. I mean, it was even the first movie too. I'm like, okay, whatever. I just went with it. My problem with the final battle is that thing is so abrupt. It's like just as you think you're getting started on this big final battle, it's over. It's like
I'll even double down on that, but continue.
I feel like they fast forwarded through this battle, or just edited the hell out of it and took out so much of it, which made it, to me, the whole ending battle felt kind of anticlimactic. Because like there's this battle that starts, and then Timothée Chalamet is inside, getting ready to challenge him and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like like Return of the Jedi or something. We're gonna go back and forth between the battle and then the duel going on here. The battle outside's done, and it's like, you built up to this big battle. You gave us about a minute of it, and then it's kind of over. And I just felt like they just kind of skipped to the end of it and rushed, and and that was a little frustrating to me. But
I'm going to agree with you on that. But I even said that while I was discussing this on the ride home with my girlfriend Kimberly. I was like, it almost kind of felt like a Superman movie. I was like, there was never a point in the film where I felt like Paul and the Fremen were ever in danger. They just always seem to just always be one step ahead. They never had a moment, except for the final fight with him and I'm not going to say his name right, but Austin Butler's character. There was never a point in this movie where I felt like Paul or any of them were in ever any danger. They just seemed to plow through, much like Superman. It's like Superman is Superman. Like, you got to have someone who matches his level, or it's just, well, yeah, Superman's going to win, obviously. And her response makes sense. He is a prophet. He's seen all this already. So he has seen, much like Doctor Strange in Endgame. He even says in the movie, I've seen 8 or all these different versions, and we lose. He's like, but there's this one narrow path. If we follow this, we'll win. So if anything, he's got basically the blueprint on how to mow through this without any issues. My little thing that I was like, yeah, I get that, and I'm okay with that to a point, but at least show like Josh Brolin and maybe Chani having some fighting issues. There's got to be some fighters on the other side that are at least really strong. Like at least Aragorn had problems like fighting like orcs in Lord of the Rings.
Well,
Like,
and even if you're showing the Fremen and the good guys, or whatever,
yeah,
like dominating and winning the battle, I still want to see that. I wanted to see
I
that
don't think
Return
we
of the
ever
Jedi
see
go
it.
back and forth and let me see the battle outside and the battle inside. You
I
know,
don't think we ever see a single Fremen die in this movie. I don't think we ever see them ever get mowed down or killed. Like you're telling me to every fighter.
there's a couple of them like in
I
the
don't
early
recall.
like opening scene, but yeah,
No.
the
I'm
match.
talking about like in the final battle and everything. Like yeah. When they attack the Harvester, they're getting shot down, mowed down by the helicopter or I call it the Dragonfly ship. But like in that final battle, I don't recall seeing any of them die. They all just seem to mow through the. And I'm just like, and she's like, well, you know, he's El Asab Gaiba or how the hell you say it. You know, so he's seen it, so he probably knows the best blueprint. I was like, yeah, I was like, he does. And Chani and Brolin's character, they all know, but it's like there's got to be like generic Fremen number 42. Who's probably not going to follow the group. He's probably going to just run in and he's just going to die. We never really see that, so they do just kind of just mow through everyone super fast. And
It's weird that it's my complaint about the film is not that there's something that didn't work. It's that something that did work, but I wanted more of.
Exactly, because I even said this as well, and this was one of the little gripes I had. Like I'm gonna tell you, it's a 94. I'm giving it a 94. I fucking love this movie, and like I said, it's been almost a week. I'm still attaching stuff to it. I'm not calling it the best fucking movie ever because there's rooms for improvement. Much like we're talking about, there's stuff that they could have done better. But once he drank they call it worm piss, but the drink of life or whatever the hell it is. I felt like the movie went into hyperdrive. It's like, oh, he straight went full Anakin. He's like, I'm a good. I don't want to go south. If I go south, it's gonna be bad. He has this like inner turmoil, which I thought Timothy did great in. He drinks it, and then all of a sudden, like you even see how they're shooting him. He's got the dark robe on. He went full on dark Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, and then it's like, boom, battle, boom, beaten. Boom, doom. Where I was like, okay. I was like, wow. I was like, I know we're getting close to the end because once again, my mindset was that we're not getting a third one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, we're really rushing to the end game. I was like, we got a lot to cover in probably like 20 minutes.
It bothered me more because I felt like the first half of the movie, well, it was the first 45 minutes, I thought were kind of a slog. I mean, just that if they were going to edit it down, I think they could have edited down that first half instead of the second half.
And I agree because that was gonna be one of my things. I don't think it was necessarily a slog. They had to build him and the relationship with Chani, and they had to build him growing to become Fremen and understand. Like I get that, but then you have like 40, 45 minutes of this, and then the movie stops, and we get 20 minutes on the Harkonnen planet, and then it's like, okay, we're in a totally different. Which I loved how that's shot. That whole, the black sun, because I kept wondering, like, how are they going to do this whole black and white thing? Like, make this make sense. And they did. And I liked it. But when you go 40, 45 minutes of this here, and then you just completely just go away and you're 20 minutes here, and it's like, shit, like, all right, like, how long are we staying here? Like, I would have rather, like, woven them together, like, given some little breathing, like, oh, let's go see what's going on here. Let's introduce Austin Butler's character. Okay, back to Paul and Chani. Then back to Austin Butler, and then like I would have probably woven it a little bit better, just so that way it's more. I don't want to say fluid, but we're not staying in one place so long to the point where if you are getting dragged down or bogged down by it, like you were, it keeps you alert throughout. That's something I probably would have changed a little bit of the pacing. Austin Butler. I liked him. I thought he did well, except for when he basically turned Tom Hardy on me. He just randomly all of a sudden just started copying Skarsgård's voice. That bugged the shit out of me.
Well, I don't know if that's supposed to be because he was family, and so that they kind of share that. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I will say that I don't know how much of it was Austin Butler and how much of it was like sound mixing. I thought they did an amazing job of making his voice match because he sounded almost exactly like him.
Like I'm saying, I felt like he was just perfectly trying to do an imitation of Skarsgård. And it'd be one thing if that was his voice the whole way through. But I was like, okay, they just talk the exact same. But then he's talking to everyone else, and he's not talking normal. I'm not gonna say he's talking normal, but he's got this particular voice. But then, like when he's like in front of everybody else, he's basically doing the Baron's voice, and I'm just like, are you mocking the Baron, or do you think if you need to feel, bigger, you have to do the Baron's voice? It kept taking me out of it. Because it was like, it's basically like, say, like Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy can't just be Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's got to add this extra voice or this extra cadence or this something to it. And with Austin Butler, we've all read that he's had a hard time getting rid of the Elvis voice after he did Elvis. Even in his other roles, you still hear Elvis in his promos and interviews and stuff. And it's like, is he doing this so that way he can fully make sure he doesn't have fucking Elvis in this movie? So I'm gonna mimic.
He should have done the Elvis voice. It would have been interesting. My thing is because Dune 2 was basically about to start filming, and they announced they cast Austin Butler in this role, which is a fairly major role. I mean, after like the couple leads, he's like the next biggest character in the story. And it's like I was worried that it was like, okay, we just grabbed onto whoever's like the hottest actor at the minute and plugged him into this role. And so I was a little worried about that because sometimes they do that and you're like, okay, this person was hot, so they plugged him in here and it doesn't work. I thought that he did a really good job. I mean, for the role, I think that he did impress me. He was able to play like that. He was, very fierce and he was intimidating at the same time. I think he got to show a little bit of range in it.
He made me believe that Batista would kiss his foot. He made me believe that. I
did. So I liked him in this role. I feel like he's very much kind of the Darth Maul of the saga because he comes in and I think he's memorable. He makes an impact, but of course now he's gone. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, and Batista, a lot of people are shitting on Batista in this movie. I agree. I wish we got a little more of him because his character is pretty much screaming and then running around like a little bitch. And I feel like Batista deserves a little more. But if that's what his character is in the book, I can't be mad at that.
Well, that's it. I don't know the book, so I don't know this. But I feel like when I'm watching Batista, every time he was on screen, I felt like it was a step backwards for Dave Bautista because this is the kind of thing
I agree.
This is what I expected him to play early in his career, and he was just showing up in these kind of roles. But like now he's kind of progressed and we've seen that he can actually, act and, make us feel emotion and he's, a much better actor. I feel like this is a step backwards to him. From
what I've heard, he's playing this character just like the book.
Yeah, right. And that's my handicap in doing this whole review is like not knowing what's from the book and what's not. So.
Yeah, from what I've heard from other reviews and stuff like that, he's playing that character straight up with the book. So once again, it's like, yeah, it's Batista. I want more. I want more from him because we know he's capable of it, but it's a very
He's a very two-dimensional character
for his role. But if that's what he's supposed to be doing, then he's doing it the best that he's doing it. Because I was like. Because there's one moment, it's when him and Brolin match up, and Brolin says, "I'm like, he gave me the scar. He killed all my people." I'm like, I would have loved to have seen that scene. We didn't get that in Dune 1. I would have loved to have seen that because the last time we saw Brolin in Dune 1 is he was running towards the fight with his men, and then we never saw him again. And when he comes back, he's describing what happened. And in my head, I'm going, Denis, you shot so much film. I would have loved to have seen that because it would have made Batista look a little more badass. And I would have loved to just watch that fight. So that way, when they meet up, I mean, outside of, like I said, tell me, don't, or show me, don't tell me. This was straight, we're just going to tell you about it. I was like, no, I actually really like to have seen that. I really would have wanted to see
and
that.
You never will, because Denis just came out this week saying that he won't put any deleted scenes or anything out, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, apparently Tim Blake Nelson was one of his favorite characters.
A whole role that's cut, yeah.
And he got completely cut. But yeah, I would have loved, because it would have just made that moment with Brolin and him mean that much more. And because Brolin lost to him the first time, and so he was prepared and ready this time, so he took him out in like 2 moves. it would have just hit more if we would have seen that in the first movie, or if he would have while he was describing what happened to him to Paul, maybe they flashed back and showed that. It's just like I said, little things I would have wanted. But I really liked what they did with this. I really liked what they did with the story. I liked how they kind of played like, is he really the prophet? And I like how like at the beginning he's like, look, he's like, they need to believe that I am so I can use them to take out the Harkonnens. And then he just started kind of falling into it. And I like that Zendaya's character wasn't really fully into it. It's like,
only a true prophet would be humble enough to say that he's not the prophet.
He's like, so he totally is. It's just like, but I like that we had that kind of balance. Like, I'm not a religious guy by any means, but I liked how the story was framed. And then you have his mother who's out there doubling down on it all. Like, well, we got to make sure everyone believes. And then he's just kind of just trying to do his thing because he's got his mindset goal. But as he's doing it, he is growing the persona because he's just doing so well at everything. And then you get that moment where he's like, you got to go south. I don't want to go south because I know if I go south, this is what's going to happen. And then he's like, I got to go. And then we get where we go. Now, I do think Zendaya really turned on him really fucking fast. But once again, we will see where that progresses into the third film. But I really liked what they did storyline wise with them. Now, Walken, Florence Pugh, I liked what they did, but once again, we didn't really get a whole lot.
I'm sorry, but the one Oscar this movie should not win is costume design because Florence Pugh's outfits were awful. But anyway.
I will admit she looked pretty bad in those, but it's like, is that what that character looked like in the original Dune? I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like we could have cut to them a little more, had a little more with their characters. What's her name? Mission Impossible. She hooked up with Austin Butler. Leah Seydoux.
Oh, Leah Seydoux.
Would have liked to have seen a little bit of more because like her character was very intriguing coming right out of the gate, and we just got her in that like 2 scenes, and then boom, she was gone. Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm assuming we're gonna get more.
Makes me mad because clearly it's just a tease for future movies.
Exactly, it's a tease for the future.
And my thing is like, if they're going to cast her in this role, great. If they're going to have her show up in this surprise, like 5-second, vision,
yeah,
fine. But it's like that would have been a nice surprise. Except, and I didn't read any reviews or anything ahead of time, spoiler reviews.
Oh, I didn't know who I knew she was in the movie, but I didn't know who she was going to be.
Well, that's just it. The problem though is like, you saw a headline saying, surprise, Anya Taylor-Joy's in this movie, and she showed up at the premiere because she's got a role. And I'm like, if that moment had come, and I'm like, oh, Anya Taylor-Joy, it would have been surprising. But as it was, it's just like, oh, cool. Here's an actress who isn't going to be in the rest of the movie.
Honestly, for a brief moment, I thought Leah was on. I was like, no, that's what's her name? That's not Anya. I was like, oh, here's Anya's role. I'm like, nope, that's not. I was like, well, fuck, who the fuck's Anya? And I was like, oh,
yeah, it just felt kind of pointless to bother having her. I mean, just wait, let's hold her off for the third movie to me. But
yeah, but like I said, at the end of the day, like I said, Dune, I think I gave Dune like an 85 because it was like I said, of the technical elements of everything that we got, acting, everything was great, but I didn't really care about the story and the characters. Part 2 doubled down on everything that I wanted. Still had a lot of the same issues, but not on as big of a scale as Dune 1 had. By the end of Dune 2, I gave a crap about all the. I cared about Chani. I cared about Paul. I cared about all these other characters. I don't really care about Florence Pugh and Walken and those people because we haven't got enough time with them yet. But we know, especially with Florence Pugh, we're getting a lot more of her in 3. But the characters that we have gone through with the first film through this, I care about them more. I still kind of wish Dakota was still around because that was probably the one character that I really latched onto in the first movie, which was Aquaman, Jason Momoa's character.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked him in the first movie. I would have loved if he survived because I would have loved to have seen how he reacted to this new version of Paul. But I really enjoyed what we got with this. So, like I said, it's a 94 for me. It's right outside of a 5 out of 5 for me. Like I said, because of, like I said, the Austin Butler doing the Stellan Skarsgård voice didn't work for me. And like I said, that last 30 to 40 minutes felt like...
I liked the voice very much. It should have been more consistent, though, yes.
Yeah, and like I agree with you. That last 30, 40 minutes felt like it was in fast forward. Like I said, because it felt like they were trying to end it because it was only 2 movies. Knowing that we were getting a third movie, I would have liked an extra 15, 20 more minutes. Granted, I know the movie's already 2 hours and 45 minutes, but it didn't feel like 2 hours and 45 minutes to me. I would have liked an extra 15, 20 minutes there, especially once we got to the Babel stuff, because it looked great. But like you said, I wanted more. We finally got to this point. Give me more. And I will say the Austin Butler Chalamet fight was incredibly well done. I love that they dropped the sound on that, the visual, like the backdrop, everything. I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, I'm not like saying, oh my God, this is a second coming, like a lot of people are. But
That's exactly my problem with this movie is that again not the movie itself, but the hype around the movie is like I've heard people saying everything from it's the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years to people literally I've heard people say, is this the greatest cinematic achievement of all time? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I mean, I enjoyed this movie. I thought this was a very good movie, honestly. But I'm like, let's pump the brakes on the hyperbole was exactly my Letterboxd review. Was like, this is a good movie, but let's pump the brakes on this hyperbole because it's like, I don't understand why people are so over the top in love with this movie because while I enjoyed it, I'm just like, okay, it's not end all be all of movies, and that's what that's what gets me is again not the movie itself, but the over the top reactions to it.
Yeah, and but you're always going to get that with every movie. I mean, not even if it was a Denis, even if Denis hadn't done this and it had been just some random director, if it was shot the same way and it was the same movie without Denis, I feel like people would have still be blowing this movie up as like the second coming. And like I said, the movie's fantastic. I loved this movie. It is going to probably be in my top 10, or like I said, or we're just going to have a really great rest of 2024 if this doesn't make my top 10. But a 94 made my top 10 last year, so it's probably going to stay in the top 10. But like I said, if we get the third film, which we will, it'll probably be 3-4 years away though, because he's still working on the script. And because of how large this cast is, it's going to be really hard to get everyone, on the same schedule.
Well, from what I've heard, a lot of the cast won't need to be on there long.
Don't spoil shit.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know like who they're talking about. There's like, oh, there's some surprising deaths. Like, okay, cool.
Okay, but if they can land this third, much like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, if they can land this third movie, then yes, this is probably the best trilogy since the Planet of the Apes trilogy and, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. If they can land this third one, because the first movie, much like the Planet of the Apes trilogy, Rise, very good, has hiccups. Dawn, fucking amazing, was one of my favorite films was my favorite film of the year when it came out. And then War, not as good as Dawn, but it was still my favorite movie of the year when it came out. As a whole, one of my favorite trilogies. If Dune can land on part 3, which I'm assuming it will, then as a whole, Dune trilogy is going to be one of the best trilogies, top 10 trilogies out there. It's not going to beat Lord of the Rings in my eyes. It'll probably be right up there with Planet of the Apes, which I'll probably get Planet of the Apes a little bit higher because of what they were able to do with, the apes and Andy Serkis and stuff like that. But I feel a hell of a lot more confident with Dune going into part 3 than I did Dune 1 going into part 2, which to me is the highest I can give it, because I really was like, it'll probably be fine too. Holy shit, I love this, but I'm not going to blow this out of proportion. I'm going to tell anyone who's interested in it to obviously to go see it, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to put it up on this pedestal yet, because how many trilogies have we had where 1 was good, 2 was fantastic, and then they fumbled 3? And it's just like, yeah, it would have been good if 3 just would have stuck the landing, but 3 just disappointed. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add before we end this?
No, just in closing for me, it's like I said, I gave it 4 stars out of 5, which is a really good rating for me. It's a very good film. I gave the first one 3.5, which is still, I don't do mine like on a percentage basis like you do. We all have our own rating system, but
yeah,
I thought the first one was good, showed potential. I will say I kind of, my problem with the first one, well, one of my problems with the first one was the fact that it was just half a story. And so I was like, oh, that's okay. We'll see part 2 and we'll do it. And we kind of had been given this indication 2 is going to end the story, but it's going to leave the door open to see where it goes in the future of 3. So I kind of thought this movie would have an ending, and it really didn't. It's basically, it's very much a cliffhanger ending. It's like, okay, look, the next battle's showing up. So I'm a little disappointed by that. And honestly, maybe not with a third movie, but these first two movies, I feel like could have been 1 3-hour movie. I think especially the first movie had pacing issues, a lot of, slow pacing, things like that. I think that these first two movies could have been one. I don't need an entire trilogy of these, but that's what it is, so we'll deal with it like it is.
Hey, Lord of the Rings started something, and everyone's gonna follow that damn blueprint. So.
Right. But but Lord of the Rings, I think made sense. But this one, I think they are stretched out a little bit more. It needs to be. I think this could have been one. I think Dune Messiah, which is I believe it's a different book. I think that could have been
a different book. So
that could have been the second movie. Children of Dune, or whatever it is, it could be the third. Things like that.
No, from what I hear, Dune Messiah is the third movie. That's what I've heard. Is Dune Messiah?
No, it is. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
but I'm saying 1 and 2 were just Dune, just the book Dune, I believe.
Yeah.
Whereas Messiah is going to be the third one. So I would have liked to have seen an ending to it. As it is, I enjoyed it very much. I think it could still be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I think it'd be towards the bottom, at least the bottom half of it.
Maybe even honorable mention for you. Yeah.
I think if nothing else, it'd be an honorable mention. I think it has a potential to be in the top 10 because I did very much enjoy this movie. It's just.
It's the hype
just
around
not
it
nearly as much as a lot of other people seem to. That's all.
Yeah. And even with mine, I mean, I like I said, I agree with a lot of the same issues you had, but I just really, really liked the stuff that you were fine with. I loved, and the things that you didn't like, I doubled down. I agree. Like, I don't think there's anything that you, for the most part, really said that you didn't like that I didn't go. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just maybe on a level of it didn't bother me as much. Whereas, like for me, the Austin Butler thing really bothered me, but you actually liked that. So it's just little things here and there, but. I mean, at the end of the day, and also I want to, and my girlfriend and I chalked this up too. One of the coldest scenes of the year at the end when Paul's like, "Hey, Chani, I will love you as long as I breathe." 30 seconds later, I'm gonna marry you, and it's like, dude.
Well, to me, that made sense. That's why he said it to her.
I know,
he was going to do this. He's like, I want you to know that I'll always love you, but I have to do this for the good of,
But to do it in front of everybody, it's just like, damn, dude, you just destroyed her.
But also that look in her eyes, you're like, oh shit, is she gonna fucking murder him? I don't know where the story goes. I haven't read the stories.
But no, but if you remember in part 1, he has an image of her stabbing him. So, because that's the thing I remember, I was like, is she gonna stab him in the middle? Because there's like sometimes when he was like had her back to her, I'm like. She's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this motherfucker. It's like, is she gonna stab him right now? This is the wrong time to stab him, Chani, because we see her stab him in part 1. But we also there's that scene that's in the trailer in part 1 where he's like running in the battle and he's like diving and spinning and then he does that freeze in his face. But that was Chani in the sequel because I'm watching like she's doing the exact same thing that Paul did in his vision in the first one, but it was Chani, not Paul. So. Who knows? We also had that image in this where she looked like she was looking at an atomic blast and her face got, cooked. So who knows? But anyway, Dune Part 2, I loved it. Brian liked it, but just tells everyone, chill the fuck out, basically. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead, hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, you have to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming out next, Kung Fu Panda 4 is out this week. I am going to try my best to see it. Kind of just depends on my schedule. Also, Damsel on Netflix will be out. Also, Imaginary will be out this week. That's 3 movies. I'm going to try my best to see as many as I can. What's that?
Ricky Stenicki's tomorrow.
And Ricky Stenicki.
Well, Thursday. I don't know when this is releasing.
Yeah, we got 4 movies coming out this week. I feel like for the most part, all 4 of those deserve their own review. Maybe not Ricky Stenicki. It kind of depends on how it is. So I'll try my best to get these all watched and reviewed. It's just not, if you're expecting them to be done Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it ain't going to happen, guys. My life has gotten very busy with promotions and just life in general. So they will get out.
How dare your life go well? Oh, no.
What's that?
How dare real life go well for you?
I know. How dare my life be going so well with a girlfriend and work and everything that I have to, pick and choose what to do. But regardless, those reviews will be out. If anything else, Ryan and I will be back. And if anything, we might just do the reviews on there. Just kind of depends on how it lays out. What does come out next week? Because those
next week's nothing. There's a streaming movie called Irish Wish, which I believe is Lindsay Lohan, and there's Knox Goes Away, which actually I'm very intrigued by. Starring and directed by Michael Keaton.
Doesn't he have like dementia and he's starting to lose his memory and it's
Yep.
got like James Marsden. Yeah, I saw the trailer for that last week. Interesting. Is that a
That was
VOD or is
good,
that an
yeah.
actual theater movie?
What's that?
Is it a VOD movie or is it an actual theater?
No, it's theatrical.
Is it? Okay. I saw the trailer and I didn't know if it was just one of those like, oh, Keaton's just making a straight to, streaming or what. But if it's an actual theater movie, then okay. I feel like I'm not going to get that in my area. I really do. I'm not seeing enough publicity to make me feel
Well,
like
I think the fact that there's nothing else. This actually, as far as I can tell, the only. Oh, I take the back. There's one I didn't put on my calendar. Love Lies Bleeding is also next week, I believe.
Oh yeah, and that one just looks weird as shit. Now, if you
It's
told
like,
me
it's one that I can't decide if I'm interested in or not. I'm sure.
if you told me the Coen brothers directed that one, I would have believed you more than Drive Away or the Drive Away Dolls. Drive Away Dolls. Yeah, I would have believed more that Love Lies Bleeding was a Coen brothers movie. But anyway, we'll be back. Like I said, the Oscars are this weekend. Like I said, check out our Oscar video, with the real Oscars that mattered, as well as our Movie Crusaders award show. Those are the awards that everyone cares about, not the Oscars. But until next time, I'm Sean Waskrew. That is Brian Michaels. In case we don't see you, go watch the movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.